welcome to the Street Shots Photography Tipcast with the Switch to Manual guys. I'm Antonio, and welcome to a new series of videos and tipcasts that we're going to do, and we're going to put them on our YouTube channel. And this is all the kind of stuff, the tips and tricks and whatever else we learn that we really don't quite find room for on our podcast. But I just recently thought we would start a YouTube channel and start putting videos and tips and stuff like that. So this is our first episode. Tom is away, so this is going to be basically me. In fact, I think I haven't told Tom about this, so this is going to be a surprise for him too. But believe me, you'll have both of us at some point doing some tipcasts, and it should be a lot of fun. We're going to do some live ones, and we're going to do some screen captures. And, well, anyway, I'll just get right into it. So generally when we do processing of our images, we like to do what's called non-destructive editing. It's one of the reasons why we use raw camera files, is because we can use Lightroom or Aperture, even Photoshop, and we can actually process those pictures in such a way that at some point later in time, we can always come back and reprocess the pictures and remove the edits that we did previously. It's called non-destructive editing. We're not actually affecting the real file. We're applying perhaps what you might want to call a recipe to the file, a processing recipe, that then the software then processes and shows us the end result. But that allows us to then go back at some point in the future and re-edit the file. So those processing instructions are not baked into the files. One of the reasons why we talk about using raw files. One of the programs I use for processing my pictures is an app called SnapSeed on my iPad. Now, what's funny is that on my iPad, I'm not processing raw files. I'm processing JPEGs. And if you actually process a JPEG, you are baking in the instructions. But lately, I've been sitting there and I suddenly realized, and I don't know if everybody realizes this, that SnapSeed is an application on an iPad that does non-destructive editing. Now, I know it's available on iPad and an iPhone. I'm pretty sure, because it's Google, it's available on Android. I don't know if it has the exact same features. I'm working on an iPad, and I know that the iPad does allow what's called non-destructive editing. In fact, the built-in Photos app on the Apple iPad allows you to work on a picture and then come back to it at a later point. But I didn't realize that Snapseed did this. So I want to show you this little feature just so you can get into Snapseed, and it's a great program. I actually think it's one of the best processing programs on the tablet devices. It's a very gentle program for processing. It doesn't really overdo things, and it allows you to do a lot of stuff. And because you're using your finger, it really feels like you're processing a picture. So I highly recommend it. It's free from Google. So I would definitely download it and use it, and it doesn't cost you anything and doesn't harm anything. So, and I also figure, you know what, in other tipcasts, I'm going to go through some of the processing that I do with Snapseed. So this will be just sort of the first, intro to this program and some of the things I do. So let's just launch it. I've got it on my iPad here. And I'm going to launch Snapseed, and the first thing we have to do is we have to open a photo. So I'm going to just go to, let's see, I've got this picture of a, sort of a foresty scene, okay? So I'm going to just use that. I'm going to do some quick rudimentary processing so you can see what I'm talking about. I don't want to make this a very long tipcast. I mean, I don't want to bore you people with this. And plus, we'll get into this a little bit later. So I'm just going to do a quick few things here just to show you. This may not be the exact processing I always do, but I'm maybe going to convert it to black and white. And I'm going to choose a color filter, and maybe, that's a little bit too much, but let's say, I don't know, let's say with the green, we'll do neutral just to keep it safe, simple. So that was my first processing step. And then I'm going to do something called drama. It's going to add some contrast to the picture. I'm going to do dark, so that looks pretty cool. Then I'm going to, I'm going to add some detail. Now, you're probably not going to be able to see this in the screencast because the detail is too fine, but I'm basically it's kind of sharpening the picture a little bit, but it's actually, it looks like it's sharpening the edges a little bit and giving another little boost of contrast. And then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to pick this last thing. Let's do a little vignette, all right, because I like to sort of, I'm going to change the size of this. I'm pinching and zooming here to change the size of this. And I'm going to slide up and down. I'm going to choose the outer brightness. Let's darken it a little bit, and let's brighten the inner process. Okay, so it may not be the best processing here, but you get the gist of it. Now, if you've been paying attention, up in the upper right corner, you can see there's this little number. For each step that I did, this little number increased. So this is telling me how many processing steps I did 4. In fact, if I tap on it, you can see little processing steps at the bottom here, right? On the bottom right. So I can actually scroll through these. I can tap back on the original, and there's my original picture. And if I go and tap each one, you can see each step that I took, all right? So there are the, 4 or 5 steps, 4 steps that I did for processing. Great, so I'm just gonna hit that little arrow on the upper left and go back to the processing. So this is my picture, this is what I want, right? So what I'm gonna do now, the key to getting the non-destructive editing is when you hit save, you have a few processes here. Now you can do save, you can save the image with the instructions. You can save a copy, so if you want to keep your original somehow unaffected, you can save a copy. And export, this is an interesting one. Export lets you take this picture and it bakes in all the processing and it exports it as a JPEG onto your camera roll. It keeps the original safe, but it exports a copy. Now we don't want to use that for doing the non-destructive editing. What we want to do is we want to hit save or save a copy. So I'm just going to hit save right now, the top one here. And it's going to do a little processing. You can see the levels, dramas, details, vignettes. And then a little dialog box is going to come up and it's going to ask me, allow SnapSeed to modify this photo. This is iOS asking me, is it okay for SnapSeed to apply these processing instructions to this image? And I'm going to say modify. All right. It says successfully saved. That's great. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to go out of SnapSeed, right? And I'm actually going to force quit it by double clicking the home button, and I'm going to actually force quit it just to pretend that maybe a week has gone by since I've used SnapSeed. So a week has gone by. Let's all flash forward a week. Okay. I come back and I think, geez, I really want to, I like that picture of the forest. I want to re-edit it. And if I go back to SnapSeed, right, and I hit open photo, and let's go back to open from device and hit camera roll. Look, there's our picture at the end here. And if I click and say, yes, let's use this picture and load it up, what's going to happen? Look, up in the upper right, there's that little number 4. If I tap on that, there are all the instructions. I can go back and say, well, you know what? A week ago, I liked the vignette, but today I don't like the vignette. So I might just get rid of the vignette. I like it like this. I'm going to go back. And now I've got this image. It is now non-destructively edited on my iPad, and it's not even a raw file. If I hit save, I'll resave it without that vignette. So let's hit save and save again. And then we get the processing. You'll see no vignettes come up. And then the little dialog box will come say, would you like us to modify the picture? I'll say modify the picture. And guess what? It is now saved on my camera roll. And you know what? If I want to then export it to other programs, the best thing to do with SnapSeed is to actually save and then export a copy of it. And it will export a JPEG copy. That's because some programs have a hard time reading the metadata that iOS creates when it processes a picture. So sometimes it's best to, if you need to export it to another device or you're using maybe perhaps Dropbox to back up, Dropbox does not read the metadata. So if you do want to save a copy of this, perhaps it's best to hit save as a JPEG and export it as a JPEG. But again, this does allow you to then come back and re-edit the picture. SnapSeed is a non-destructive editor on iOS. So that's my first tip. You know what? Later on, I will probably make some more tipcasts about SnapSeed. It's a great program, like I said before. It is an app that is very gentle processing. It's kind of like Photoshop. It's probably better than Photoshop actually on the iOS device, and that's my opinion. Not necessarily a fact. I just use SnapSeed exclusively. I might use Photoshop for doing some other things. There's some things that SnapSeed doesn't do, and so I'll actually bring the picture into other programs to tweak it. But I always start with SnapSeed. So that's it. That's our end of our first tipcast. I know it ran a little bit long. Hopefully you can tolerate my voice for this long. But we want to just share these tips and tricks and whatever else we can. Anything we can scoop up that doesn't fit in our podcast, we want to put on our YouTube channel. So if you like this, subscribe down there at the bottom. Then you'll hit the subscribe button. And every time we come with a new tipcast, you'll get an indication that we've got a new one. And hopefully you'll be learning some really cool stuff through the Switch to Manual guys through our tipcast. So that's it, and I'm going to bid farewell and hope to see you guys next time. And if Tom was here, he'd say adios. So take care.